That's not what. Hey guys, welcome back to the Back to Bits podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always is D-Pad Danny. What is going on, Danny?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I am doing better. We were just talking before the show. It's been a heck of a week. I've actually been off work, but I was sick for the first week I was off work. Yay!
So much fun.
Yeah, you gotta love, actually getting 2 weeks off of work and then the first week just been sick. Ugh. But anyway, but I'm all better now. I feel good, so... But, unfortunately, I really didn't even feel like playing any games. That was the bad thing. It was like I was hoping to be able to...
you're sick if you don't feel like playing games.
Yeah, tell me about it. Well, laying in bed with a Switch right next to you, you're like, I can play some games. It's like, just go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But, so how have you been? It's been a couple of weeks since we've done a show.
Yeah, I mean, I've been okay. I've been streaming some here, working on a BioShock Infinite playthrough.
I saw that.
Been working on video editing. I actually have a new video premiering tomorrow on my Twitch channel of the time of this recording. Anyway.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Saturday. So Saturday for all you listeners at home, podcast listeners. It'll be Saturday. What time? Evening?
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. So you're doing it at 9. I know you usually do them in the evening, so I wasn't sure if you were going to do it earlier or not. I didn't know what was going on. You never know what's going on a Saturday. Lots of things could be going on. So that's cool. I can't wait to see it. I like the last one. So
appreciate it.
Of course, my ugly mug was in the last one for 5 seconds. So
that's true.
So any video that you're in that yourself is in, it should be good, right? I mean, you can't say,
Oh,
"Oh no, that
absolutely.
video was terrible. It was awful." But I don't
Oh,
know.
I adorned that episode. It must be fantastic. You know?
Yeah. I gave it so many thumbs up, it was unbelievable. No. But anyway, but no. But we're going to talk about retro games like we always do on the Back to Bits. Danny, I'm going to let you go first because you sent me a picture of your pickup that you have. It was a S Video Switch. It was a really high end one. Well, a high end one at the time. I say high end. I mean, I guess it would still be considered high end for an S Video Switch.
Yeah, I mean, I was using a 4 input 1 output before, and it was a little dinky one. It was still powered, but it was just this tiny little thing. And because of it, like, it had 3 inputs in the back, and I would have Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Genesis plugged in. Those are the 3 I used the most. And then the 4th input on the front would just be whatever I would switch to. And, you know, when I do my weekly request stream, you know, I'm constantly switching consoles. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But I had a buddy who's just upgraded to an RGB switcher. And so he was getting rid of his, and it's a nice one. It's 8 input. It's a really nice big JVC. It would have been somewhere in the ballpark of $400 to $500 back in the 90s.
I believe it.
So now I can have, you know, well, there's 1 input in the front that I'll use to kind of toggle between other stuff, but I can have 7 consoles plugged in, you know, indefinitely. So instead of switching them around, I can just press a button, good to go.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's what I need. A new HDMI switch is what I need. The one I have only has 5 inputs, and I could really use another 2. But you know, once you get up, the HDMI switches, once you get anything above 5, they usually get in the $80, $90, $100 range, and I haven't felt like coughing up that kind of cash for it. But yeah, it's cool that you could find a working, you know, JVC S Video switch of that, you know, caliber, you know, now that's in good condition.
Right.
You know, because a lot of people just trash that stuff when it, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it didn't cost me anything. I traded him a handful of duplicates that I had. We were able to make a deal, so can't be upset about that.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, if he can swap, even you get rid of some stuff, he gets rid of something, then it's definitely a good deal, especially when there's no money. When no money changes hands, which is always nice that you could do something like that. You know, it's like I ended up having to buy a switch, and we may have talked about it. I ended up having to buy a switch for my a component switch for my HD Retrovision cables because I was tired of plugging and unplugging them from the Retro Tank. I'm just lucky that most everything works with the one Genesis cable, so I really only needed to get a 2 channel switch, but I got a 3 one, so, you know, and it was $25 and no loss of quality, which was kind of surprising, I thought, but yeah, but no, I actually I've seen a couple of streams that you've done since you got your the switch put in, and you know, the colors are brighter, and you know, the picture looks a little sharper, which is always a plus too.
Yeah, I noticed it pretty immediately when I turned it on. Just looking at my PVM, I'm like, wow, those colors aren't washed out. They're not, like, you know, too bright, and over the gamma wasn't too high. You know, it was nice and colorful. I was like, wow, this is a good upgrade.
Now, will it take just regular AV and run it through S Video like that other one the switcher that you had did?
Oh yeah, like I said, I mean, you know, I have the NES plugged into it. I don't have, you know, that's not S Video. Same thing with the can't remember if I have the Genesis set up through S Video or not.
No, probably not, because I don't think the Genesis ever had an S Video.
Yeah, so I mean, I still have stuff hooked up to it with composite, and it still runs. You know, it still looks nicer than it did before.
Well, that's one hard thing to find. You know, that was why I recommended the one that you had before, was because it actually would take component and you could run it through S Video and kind of scale it that way, because a lot of S Video switches won't do that. But I would assume that the one that quality of one, even for its age, would do that.
Right.
Which is always a good thing. So cool. Well, that's awesome. It's always nice to be able to do a little bit of upgrading the equipment.
Definitely.
You know, when you can. and not have to spend a ton of money on it either. That's always the big plus, is not spending a ton of money. So I really haven't had a whole lot of pickups. I know you said you had some games coming. That'll be here for the next show. But I been in Pittsburgh for the past 3 weeks or so to do a lot of doing beer cooler resets for Sheets, and they had open interviews company wide one Wednesday, so they wouldn't actually let us in the stores. So what I ended up having was a free day in the greater Pittsburgh area to do whatever I wanted. So I actually went around to about 4 or 5 retro game stores. I think I went to 4. Technically, I guess I went to 5, but I went to 4 that were video game only, and picked up some Master System games. It's kind of what I've said here before. I kind of been wanting some more Master System games, so I found Black Belt for the Master System. I also found Spellcaster Complete, which was $20. That is a very interesting game. I don't know if you've ever played Spellcaster before. I never had.
I have not.
It's kind of a mix of adventure game and role-playing game.
Okay.
Like when you start out, you're talking to, or it looks like a role-playing game where you're talking. You can ask questions. You can go to this room. You can, you got all these different things you can do, and then you can leave. And then it kind of turns into, what was that Genesis game called? Mystic Defender. It's kind of a side scroller where you have magic powers that you shoot out of your hands. I think it was called Mystic Defender. And then when you get to the next part of the stage, then you're talking to so and so again, trying to figure out this and that and stuff. It's very interesting. Found it for what was funny is the store that I went to actually had it marked for $20, which was about $10 under book value. The store that I went into, this was actually where I found most of my games at. It was it was a very trash store, and I say trash just because there was so much stuff piled everywhere that they never cleaned it. I mean, the floors were dirty. There was just stuff piled on the counters, just random stuff, and looking back on they had not only games, but they had toys and stuff like that. So the one dude that was there was more of I'm in charge of the toy section, not the video game section. So it was I was like, can you come over here? I'd like to look at this one, this one, this one, this one. And he had a copy of Elemental Masters with no price on it or anything, and it was complete. And I was like, I just want to see that, because I know you're not going to. I know I'm not going to buy it because it's like $150, $200 complete or something.
Sure.
So I did look at it just to say, ooh, I've actually seen a complete copy of it. I mean, it was nice and crisp. But they had 3 copies of Miracle Warriors on 3 different shelves. And they were 3 different prices. $15, $20, and $30. So immediately I said, let me see that one down there on the bottom.
Right.
And so I pulled it. He pulled it out. I opened it up. It was complete. Had the map in it. It had the instruction book in it. They wanted $15 for it. So I'll take it, which is about $15 less than what the book value is on it.
Sure.
For whatever reason, I don't know why it was marked down like that.
It's weird.
Some strange reason. So anyway, I got those 2 games, but that map had never been open. In fact, it looked like it had been in the case so long you could actually see the outline of the cartridge on the map. It was all it was all tan around the map, except for where the cartridge had been pushed up against it for all those years. It was white. It's like I've got to have it. I had that was one of the Master System games I had as a kid, and it's really an underappreciated role-playing game. I hadn't played it in a long time, and when I played it as a kid, I didn't fully understand how to play it because it's very weird. It's an RPG that it's got a picture up here of your party or the area that you're in, but on the other side you move square by square by square by square. and then when you come into a bad guy, the bad guy, the fight's over here on this screen while you still have your map where you're moving up here. It's a very weird setup. It's very odd, but it was really fun to play. So it was like, all right. I mean, and this game looked like it hadn't been touched. When I got it home the other day, I actually cracked it open to clean it. The battery was still good in it. The pins didn't look like they'd been used at all. It was very strange. I'm guessing that somebody must have traded it in. It just sat in a closet or an attic or something. But man, it was for $15. I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, you can't let those kind of deals slide.
Yeah, I mean, and there was. I'm trying to pull it up here so I can see the names of the stores I went to. So if anybody is ever in the areas, I put them on Twitter. I meant to have this pulled up beforehand, but I forgot. One of them was a really cool store that a dude kind of had on the back of his house. It was kind of down in a neighborhood, and it was kind of attached to his house in a little, I say a little building. It was a smaller store, but it was actually recommended to me by the MegaCats guys. I had tweeted out to them that I was in the area because they're out of Pittsburgh. I was like, hey, is there any stores that you recommend I hit up? And they were like, yes. That store was called Warp Zone in the Pittsburgh area. The other one that I went to was Cash and Culture. I didn't buy anything there. They really didn't have anything I was looking for. They actually had a couple locations, but the location that I went to, it didn't have a whole lot in it. But it was really good. And it had a little bit of everything. It had everything from video games to G.I. Joes to Transformers. Anything from the 70s and 80s, they had it there.
Nice.
And they had it for reasonable prices, which was good. The other one I stopped by was Retrograde Collectibles. I talked to the owner for quite a while. He didn't have anything out. He was actually just coming back from a show, so he didn't have anything in the store. He had packed up his entire store and took it to the show, and he was unpacking it while I was there, so he was kind of low on inventory. So I told him I'd stop back by if I ever did. And then the one that I got the games for such a good price at was Game Again, and it was just, like I said, it was just a little rinky-dink in an old center, that shopping center, kind of not like right down the street from a steel mill, believe it or not. Big shock, a steel mill in Pittsburgh. Whoa. Right. But yeah, it was really cool to actually go out and and do some hunting, because I don't usually have time when I'm in other places to do stuff like that, and to find some really good deals. I mean, those were all great prices on games. Oh, and I also got a a Game Gear game at Warp Zone. Another Sonic game, Sonic Triple Trouble. I think I've got about every Sonic game for the Game Gear now. I may be missing one. I think there may be one that I'm missing. So, but yeah. So that was a good time. It was cool to get out and do that on one of my days off. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today. I was originally going to do a video on it, and I decided, instead of doing that, you know what, I'm going to just do it on the show and kill two birds with one stone. But Cliff has been making repro Saturn games, and I picked up some games. I got Police Knots. This is a translated version of Police Knots for the Sega Saturn. It's the sequel to, well, you might as well say it's in the vein of Snatchers. It's by Kojima, which is pretty cool. He also sent me a copy of Magic Knight Ray Earth, the GameWorks game. I know this one, if you buy it complete, it's like $350. It's something stupid. Yeah. So it was cool that he sent that. And Shining Wisdom was one of his newer ones that he has done, and he sent me one of those. And what's awesome about this is if you want to buy these from his site, he has an Etsy store. He sells these single things like this one for $12. Comes with the case, the cover art, and he's got a new way of doing CDs with. They're printed on there, and then they have a UV coating on them so that printing won't come off. And I mean, it's kind of hard to pick up in this camera. I don't have a camera that's really good, but I mean, it looks really professional done. And on the inside, he's always got some kind of art. With the Shining Wisdom, he actually has a alternate sketch cover that that you could swap out with, which is awesome. Games like Police Knots, which is a multi-disc game. He has them in a cart that has all the discs in there. This one would be like $30 since it has 3 discs. But I mean, what's cool about it is these are done on silver, high quality CDs, so they're a little less rough on your laser like the cheap CDs are. You do have to have, with the Saturn games, you do have to have either a modded Saturn to play them, or you have to have the pseudo Saturn flashed action replay to play these. Which he actually sells those too if you need one, and they're pretty affordable too. I want to say they're like $40 or $50. But at the end of the show, when the show notes go up, I will have a link to his Etsy store. What's cool is the second batch of games he sent me, he actually sent me doubles. He'd already sent me Psychonauts, and he'd already sent me the Magic Knights. So I am planning on running a contest to give a copy of each of these away. So the winner will get both of them. It'll be in the show notes. So if you're listening to this, you'll have to go to the website and pull up the show notes, or the YouTube page, or the Twitch page, or the Facebook. I'll put it all in every post video that we have with the link to the Gleam. It'll be a Gleam one, so there'll be all kinds of little ways to score points to get your chances higher to win these. Just keep in mind, like I say, that you have to have either a modded Dreamcast or modded Saturn or a pseudo Saturn memory card, which, like I said, you could get those through his Etsy store. And I highly recommend getting one because some of these games, he's got Panzer Dragoon Saga he just put up, which I think is about $30 or $40. The one that I'm most excited about that he just put up is Shining Force 3. It's part 1, 2, and 3 that the West didn't get, that somebody has actually translated from Japanese to English, because we got part 1 as Shining Force 3, but there's actually 2 other parts that Japan got that they didn't get, that we didn't get in the United States. So I highly recommend checking out his store, especially if you want these. I mean, these are nice, high quality repros. They're on a nice. They're not just on paper. They're on nice print sheets. So they look really, really cool. But Cliff's, like I say, I'll have a link to Cliff's Etsy store. I could probably tell it to you, but I think if you search. This will take 5 seconds for me to pull it up. If I would have it right here and prepared, that would be great. But
that'd be too easy.
Yeah, that'd be way too easy. I got to wait on a phone to load. Let's see. His Etsy shop is under. If you just search Arcadic Cave Gaming, ARCTIC Cave Gaming. Arctic Cave Gaming. You'll find it. Yeah, he's got Snatcher for the Sega CD. He's got Popful. He's got Asteroid Assault, Shining Force CD, Earthworm Jim, Lunar. Looks like Police Knots is $25. Sorry. Shining Force is $30, and Panzer Dragoon is $30. But like I said, he looks like he's out of the Pseudo Saturn cards right now. He usually has those in stock though, so I mean he's been actually selling a lot. So his stock ebbs and flows, but
Well, I'm sure for $12 a pop on the repros, I'm sure people are just buying them out regularly.
yeah,
Take your whole stock.
it's a great deal to have, you know, and I'm happy to have them, even if I own, like, you know, I'm probably going to buy a repro of Panzer Dragoon Saga, even though I own Panzer Dragoon Saga, just because I don't want to play my Panzer Dragoon Saga because I don't want to scratch it. I don't want to, you know, drop it or something like that. So.
Sure.
But like I say, check out the show notes. Check out the stuff, and there will be a link to the Gleam contest that we're going to have for those. And also, follow, you know, if you're a follower on any of the Twitter, mine or the shows or anything, it'll be tweeted out there too, which I'll probably do that tomorrow when this show goes live, or Sunday, whichever day it goes live. I haven't figured that out yet, But yeah, so you definitely want to check that out. News. Speaking of MegaCat games, our friends over at MegaCats, they always hook us up with some awesome games. I just happened to be flipping through Twitter the other day, and they were talking about some of their new games, and they have a ton of new games coming out.
Yeah.
Almost Heroes 2 is coming out for the NES. And the thing about it is there's really, I don't think there's there's no pictures of them when they're coming out or anything like that. They're just more or less announcements. Right. They're even making a VR game called Another Rainy Day. So I can only imagine what that is, since it's, you got to protect the castle of your Cow King is how the description is. So who knows what that game is all about. That's going to be on Steam and VR. Almost Heroes 2 is going to be on the NES. Just trying to hit some of the retro games. Appeals Court, unpeel the action in a banana cop in the world's first and most nutritious pixel art spectacular fighter. That'll be out on the Genesis. Probably one of the ones that I'm most excited about is Balls and Booty. It's dodgeball on the high seas, so it's a pirate-themed dodgeball game. That sounds really fun.
But it looks like it's going to have our RPG elements in it too.
Yeah. So
which is really interesting.
Yeah, so that ought to be really cool. That'll be out on Steam and on the NES. Let's see that. I mean, they've even got games coming out on the Saturn, Bite the Bullet, or Saturn, the Switch and PS4. Brass Fun. Is coming out on PC. Chant is another Genesis game. You're an ex-monk thrust back in the world of medicine and divinity to choose your weapon and ability and loadout. You know, it's a platformer, it says. Of course, there's Coffee Crisis. Companion cartridge is coming to the NES. Some kind of digital friend. I don't know. But if you check the link in the show notes, there's a link to their store where all their games are coming out. Dwarven Digger, an RPG Match 3 game. That sounds kind of cool for the Super NES. Which I'm kind of surprised they're doing another Super NES game. They had so much hard time getting Little Medusa on the Super NES. You know, when I talked to them, they were like, we don't care if we ever do a Super NES game again. But here they are doing another Super NES game. But yeah, I mean, there are a ton of them on here. I'm not even going to go through them all. There's a football game. It looks like Field of Nightmares.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be like a Mutant League football sort of game.
Mm-hmm. High Noon Knockout. Looks like it might be an RP. It says it's an RPG brawler, so it's not like Punch Out. That was what the creepy. What was it called? Creepy
Brawlers.
Creepy Brawlers. That's right. Lethal Wedding for the Genesis. A top-down RPG shooter. There's a Little Medusa again, which is coming to Switch, which would be cool. Long Dammers. But yeah, there's the one that they put on Twitter this morning that caught my eye was Lucky Penguin. It's kind of a puzzle game coming out on the NES. It looked cool. Yeah, I mean, there are an absolute ton. It's good, it's good to see them bringing out so many games.
Yeah, there's more than we could list here. I mean,
Yeah,
just going through it, it's pretty crazy. There's a lot of stuff there that looks like it's going to be coming down the pipeline.
yeah, and I'll have to get in touch with them again and see when they're expecting all these. If these are all this year or next year, or exactly when these are coming out, because some of these I really want to play. A lot of these sound really cool. Not being able to see any actual gameplay of them, which they post stuff on their Twitter quite often. So that's where I saw the Penguin one at. So it's like, okay, but I'd asked. I wanted to stop by and see them, but I know they don't really like people dropping in unannounced on them. So it's like, I'll get in touch with them. I've got 4 more weeks up in Pittsburgh, so might stop by one Friday and see what's going on. But yeah, so there was that. I thought was pretty awesome. And there was a video that I thought was really cool that they posted on YouTube. It was a retro anime R-Type. It's a behind the scenes video of an retro anime video. But what I thought was interesting about it, not only was the anime really cool, but
that was legit.
Yeah, but the history, the little history, beginning history of all the R-Type games, from arcade up to PS2, I guess was technically the last one of the series. Anyway, right?
PSP with the tactics ones.
That's right. I forgot about the tactic ones. Yeah. Always forget about those, but there's a link in the show notes to that to check out. As it was a really cool video, it's worth checking out.
Yeah, so. Definitely worth a watch. Really cool stuff.
Yeah. The main topic that I wanted to talk about is more of a gripe to me than anything. We really couldn't come up with a whole. We kind of at the last minute decided to do a show, so it was like, well, we don't have a topic for the show, so I did some digging. And last show we talked a lot about the Polymega hate, and we actually got a lot of good feedback from that on Twitter from people who had watched the video and listened to the episode. And what is funny is, with all that hate about Polymega using emulators rather than going the FPGA route like they originally talked about. That's where the hate for that come from. And then since we've talked, the Mega NT has come out. And as per most of the time with the analog NT systems, someone has brought out hacked software for it that will allow you to play ROMs on there. Mm-hmm. And everybody loves it. They think it's the greatest thing ever. Oh, now we can play
more accessibility.
Yeah. So my question is why do people hate on one way to emulate games and not another? I mean, what difference is it for a Polymega that you could buy that has software emulation to play games versus a hardware emulation of a system that was specifically supposed to only play Sega Genesis or Super NES games? Now somebody has hacked the software that will allow you to play any game on there that you want. And when I say any game, any Sega game that you want. Sure. I think the updated software, the hack software, allows you to play Game Gear, SG-1000, Master System stuff, and you don't have to have your carts. You can actually just load the ROMs up on the SD card, slap it in the system, and go. And what's really funny about that with the analog stuff is those are not supposed to be, you're not supposed to be able to hack them like that unless you have the official BIOS from whoever programmed the chip itself. So it makes me wonder if it's just the guy who actually programs these things and then hands them off to somebody else and says, hey, go ahead and you can go ahead and just do the unlocking there. I don't know. It just really kind of almost aggravates me to a point. It's like, why do so many people jump on Polymega and hate on them to the point where Polymega defends themselves and then everybody gets mad when people who hack the system it's no different. To me, that's no different than using any other kind of form of emulation for playing games. You're just using a different form of it. Yes, it's an FPGA, but the hack software resets that chip to emulate whatever system it is. Why do people care? Why do you care if you get it on the Polymega or you get it on the Super NT or you get it on the analog NT, Super NES or the NES? I don't know. It seems like a weird double standard that I don't understand why people do. Is it just because it's a flavor of the month? It's easy to pick on somebody that does it another way?
Well, that's probably part of it. I mean, like we talked about last time, I think a lot of people will just, oh, I like this person and they have a negative opinion of this, so I'm going to rabble-rouse around it without really even formulating my own opinion. You could say that maybe some of the argument might be, well, you know, we want to buy this console to do what it was meant to do, and if someone else wants to go out and mod theirs to do emulation or whatever, then they can, but I'm a purist, air quotes. I want to keep it, you know, just cartridge only. I want the ability to do that. Maybe they're just offended that it's on there to begin with, and
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's just the people that are fussing about it the most, fussing about Polymega the most, praise the analog NT hack to be able to do exactly what the Polymega does. That you know right out of the box. It's like I don't know. It just seems so.
I mean, it could just be, oh, I like this thing, so other stuff is no, I don't like it. You know, it's like people who hated on Nintendo for years, and then, oh, well, now I like the Switch because it's a good console, but I wasn't going to give it a chance when it came out because, ew, Nintendo, baby stuff. I just don't like Nintendo inherently, you know?
Yeah. Well, and Ozwarm in the chat, yeah, and he's right. Polymega swapped out what they were doing, and it ticked people off. Their radio silence for so long was annoying as well. That's true. You know, I get the people upset about that, and I get the radio silence, but they don't have a PR department, as far as I know. That's not, you know, a lot of people are wondering, you know, with who, the what, and the where of all the lashing out on the Twitter that happened. You know, if that was a PR company that was doing it, I don't think it was. As far as I know, they do not have a PR company. It's the people who do the Polymega do their own PR. You know, which I've been in touch with them several times about. You know, exactly, you know, what's going on, who, the what, the where. But I don't know. It just seems weird to me that it's easy to. They seem to be, well, and not only that, but it seems to be an easy target too, because what a lot of people do is when, you know, different things come out, like the Super NES Classics or the NES Classics, the first thing everybody does is, oh, well, I can just do that on a RetroPie. I don't need to buy that. Well, and that's fine. Some people like the classics because it's convenience. It's official. And if you're like me, I like to have them in a box sitting on my shelf. I don't play them. Yep. I don't. I mean, both of mine are right back there in the box. I pre-ordered the Sega Genesis one. I want to buy it. I want to have it. Will I play it? I'll probably play it for about the first 20 minutes that it comes in, and then it'll probably be wrapped back up and put back in the box and sit on the shelf with all the other ones and go, look at my nice little happy set piece that I have that looks so pretty. And I don't know. I mean, and well, and that could be too. Oh, he brings up another good point. He says, I think it was just a stunt between Polymega and Analog. There is no such thing as bad press. Well, that could be too. The thing about it is, though, it really wasn't Analog that was doing the harping on it. It was Voltar, HD Retrovision, Retro RGB, and DB Electronics. That was the ones doing it. But they seem to be the ones who... They were doing it again earlier this week. They... I forget the name of the company in the UK who is bringing out Dreamcast SCART cables and Dreamcast component cables. They're bringing out Dreamcast component cables before HD Retrovision brings theirs out. And what's funny is the DB guys started jumping on this company because, oh, look, it's real easy to do this when you could blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, you made the technology to do it. Don't harp on somebody. If you make the means for somebody to do it, and your friend's over here making it from scratch, and somebody else says, well, we could go ahead and do this now and make money now before these guys do. Don't poke a stick at these other guys for, don't blame them. I don't blame them at all, because when it comes out, I'll buy it if it comes out before HE Retrovision does. But yeah, I don't think there's anything, bad press is good press, I think, unless it's bad press to the point where it's like, this thing is total garbage. But I don't think anything like that's been proved yet for Polymega, that it's total garbage. It is kind of upsetting that it's not like they originally said it was going to be. But, I don't know. It's just funny to me that in the retro gaming community, emulation is such a hot topic, but yet so many people get bent out of shape about different emulation ways. There's this weird, and that's more or less what I wanted to talk about, not so much Polymega. It just happened to be that they were in the example that I used. It's just such a weird topic of, well, this emulation's okay, but that emulation's not okay, and it's like you have your different camps of people. And I get the analog NT people in their camp. They like the analog NT. It's a very high-end emulation machine. I mean, when it comes right down to it, it's an emulation machine. Sure, it takes original cartridges. So does my Retron 5. It takes original cartridges, too. And it can be hacked to play ROMs if I really want it to. But, I don't know. I'm not much on picking up the analog NT. It's a little out of my price range. I'm not much on the high-end part. I prefer real consoles, but the Polymega does interest me because it's got CD base too. I'm not so much interested in the cartridge part of it as I am the CD part of it. To have a backup of, to be able to play Sega CDs, Neo Geo CD. That is probably a system I will probably never own because it's $200 or $300.
Right.
But to be able to buy those original games and pop them into a system that it would work on would be really cool. And yes, I have a RetroPie that I could download all that crap to and play right now if I wanted to. But
it's not the same.
It's not the same, no. What I use my RetroPie for is arcade, because arcade boards are expensive.
Yeah. And they take up a lot of space too. Let me put 4 PCBs on a shelf versus
exactly.
cartridges of any other console.
But Armageddon's right. God bless emulation. I say everybody wins. That's true. If you want to emulate, you can emulate. If you want a flash card, you can flash card. If you want to, if you want to play on a PC, you can play on a PC. You can. I mean, there's so many options to play retro games one way or another. Whether it's quote unquote legal or not legal. I mean, who's to say? I'm not here to argue semantics of law, because I don't know anything. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have a bachelor's degree in anything, so I can't say. But Ozar's right about that. The Mega SG, once it has all its adapters, is what gets my interest peaked. That's true. I'm very interested in the Game Gear aspect of it. Even though I have a Retron 5 with a Game Gear adapter that I could play Game Gear games that way if I wanted to. I have a Game Gear modded to play through TV too, if I want to go that way. Or I could do emulation on my PSP with Game Gear. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways I could go about doing it. I don't know. It just really, really cracks me up that so many people in different camps, everybody is tribal about this stuff, it seems like, anymore. And I don't know if it's just easy to pick on people because you're behind a wall online nowadays. You're behind a Facebook avatar or a Twitter avatar or whatever social media thing you use. That it's not like you're standing face to face with someone and arguing with them about different semantics.
Right. Everybody's hardcore when they've got a keyboard separating them and the other person.
When you go get those multi-cart portable consoles. I know, right? That's what my PSP is for. It's a multi-cart portable emulator that Armageddon says. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. It's just funny, the following of people who just absolutely just harp on one thing and stay on it. And it's like, and a lot of times I just sit back and I read these things and I shake my head and I go, is it really worth all this getting bent out of shape about and dragging a company through the mud who's just trying to, you know, I mean, Analog NT says they're trying to preserve retro gaming. Polymega says they're trying to preserve retro gaming. You know, obviously Nintendo is trying to preserve some retro gaming with their consoles as well, you know, that they brought out a couple years ago.
The problem there is that everyone wants the same goal, but everyone thinks that their way is the only way. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we all want the same thing. We all want to have fun and play games. So what do you care what somebody else is doing? If you have a mission statement and you're clear about what you're doing, why should you give a crap what someone else is doing? Like,
exactly. You know, it's like I say with, I was talking with somebody on Twitter today, and they were like, they posted a thing about, I don't know if you've seen it or not, or even keep up with, about the Elder Scrolls Blades thing for mobile, and it has tons. I mean, everything's behind a paywall, you know, and people are like, well, don't support that, don't even play it. Hey, if you want to play that game,
if you want to,
go for it. I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to tell somebody no. Don't do that. Don't support that. Let that company drown on that, because I don't agree with, you know, the way they do business. I just don't care about the game. I have no interest in it whatsoever. So you know what? I'm not going to download it. I'm not going to play it. But I don't. That doesn't mean I don't think you should. I mean, you know, it's the same way with. With repro cards, exactly. Ozen says, repro cards, exactly. A lot of people don't like, there's some people out there that don't like repro cards. There's people out there that do, that collect, well, you have repro cards, I have repro cards, you know, and I'm fine with that. I have repro discs, I have them right here. And I'm all right with that, because, you know, this game's, if I go to the eBay and pay $350 for this game, as much as I would like to, I would be a divorced man right now if I did this. So $12 to enjoy this game and, you know, keep its whatever alive, I think that's great. Why put it behind an expensive wall just because it's rare? You know, why leave that up to, you know, elite people? I see people on Facebook all the time, I mean, dropping $200 or $300 on games, and I just think, wow, either I want your job, or, you know, I want a wife that's understanding, or I mean, I don't know, but I don't know. It's just, it's something that really aggravates me about, as much as I love the retro and the gaming community, it's things like this that aggravate me about the retro and the regular gaming community. It's just, why? Who cares? You know, it's like, just play what you want to play and play it how you want to play it. I mean, as long as you're not ripping off somebody. Right. You know, now I'm not saying go out and download the newest Call of Duty and play it and say, you know, on PC illegally and say, yes, this is the way that this is the good way to play things. That's not what I mean. I mean, right. But I don't know. But these people in their camps just crack me up. They just make me laugh. But that was my soapbox. I guess that was my soapbox topic for the day. For the episode. Is there anything you want to add, Danny, or talk about? Or
well, I mean, I agree. Like we were saying, you know, everyone gets all, you know, in their own little groups and think that their way is the best. And, you know, because I don't agree with this, that means that somebody else shouldn't do it. Like, I mean, for example, like, I'm kind of split down the middle. I like reproduction carts. But that being said, I will usually only buy reproductions of games that didn't come out here. Right. And if I have that other region console and I can afford that game, then yeah, I might just get the original copy. But I mean, I'm not going to go out and buy a $40 reproduction of the little Samson, though. I'm not going to do that.
No.
But you know, I'm not going to say, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. I mean, I think they should be clearly labeled reproduction, because
absolutely,
those getting into the market really hurt the retro market, and people paying high price and getting screwed over, paying for, you know, an aftermarket product when they think they're getting the real deal. But like, if you make a translucent cartridge with Flintstones Dinosaur Peak, like, what do I care? I probably won't buy it. It's not something that appeals to me, but I'm not going to demonize someone else for wanting to play that game. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, I bought Panic Restaurant, so I think only people who have the money to buy an original Panic Restaurant should be able to play it. I don't care. Emulate it if you want. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like I have a decent sized retro game collection, but I also use flashcards.
Right.
That is what I play on 90% of the time, is flashcards. I will buy games that I want to buy, and games that sometimes I don't want to buy if I buy them in a lot, and I'll keep them. But you know, 9 times out of 10, very rarely do I play a game on the cartridge that I own, just because it's convenient for me to have everything right on one cartridge in my system all the time.
Right.
Oh, I want to play Phantasy Star 3. Sure, I have it over here on the shelf. Let me get up and open up the plastic, take the game out, put it in there. Oh, it doesn't work. Let me just clean it off a little bit. It's got a little dirt on it. Plug it in there and go. Where my flash card, I can just hit reset and go Phantasy Star 3. Boom. Hey, look, I didn't have to get up. I didn't have to do
Well, I like getting
like
up and switching cartridges. I disagree with your type.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, fine. Cartridges, flash carts are not for everybody. You know, and I know you've said it time and time again. If you had flash cartridges, you wouldn't buy games, or you say,
well, I don't know if I wouldn't, but I feel like it might deter me from owning the real thing one day. So, you know, it's like, oh, well, why buy this? Why have this prospect of getting this $300 video game one day, this shining jewel of a game, when I can just pop it in and play it on a flash card? I get it. It's the most economic friendly, you know, it's the easiest on your wallet, and I understand why the appeal, but I don't know. I mean, if it was for a console that I didn't really care about collecting for, but wanted to play some of the games, then yeah, maybe. But I don't think I'd do it for like NES, SNES, and I don't know, Genesis. Like, I don't know. That's not a console that I really care about owning all the games for.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's funny is, and I've probably said it on here before, having flashcards has made me buy more games than I probably normally would, because I will play something randomly and go, I really like that game. I think I would like to have that game, and then I will keep an eye out for that game. You know, every once in a while I'll get a game that I don't know what it is, and I'll get it just to get it, and then go, oh, I really like it. But 9 times out of 10, I've played it on my flash card first, and then went, yeah, I really like that. I will spend X amount of dollars on that game, then spend X amount of dollars on a game that I don't really know anything about. You know, I'm only going on word of mouth or a YouTube video or something like that, and get it and play it and be like, you know what, as cool as that game sounded, it really wasn't for me. And then I turn around and I sell it again. I think that's been my thing with the flash carts is I've bought more games here recently because I played them on a flash cart than what I normally would. Because normally what I would do is I would just buy the games I wanted, the games I grew up with, and I would probably not buy any more games. Unless it was a really good deal, or I'd played something or saw a Let's Play video or something like that of it. But, I have... Owen says he'd like to try a flash card out of the TurboGrafx. I highly recommend the one for the TurboGrafx. It is an awesome, awesome flash card. What's cool about it is if you get the CD, you can run the different carts, flash, or the different graphics cards for the for the TurboGrafx CD off the flash card. So you don't have to have 2 or 3 different cards laying around. I mean, I've got the latest one that you could pop into the PC Engine and play the best games on it. But I use my flash cart because it's like I don't have to go and grab that thing. Well, I didn't until my CD stopped working, but that's another thing altogether. But yeah, I mean, I've got them for the TurboGrafx, Super NES, NES, Genesis, Game Gear, N64. Which I don't care if I ever buy another N64 game again, because I do not care for that system enough.
Yeah, there's like 20 good games for it.
Yeah, and there's only I own 2 games for the 3. No, wait. 4. I own 4 games for the N64. 2 of them are Zelda, and 2 of them are Star Wars. And that's all I own for the N64. And I don't care if I own it anymore. I've got a flash cart for it, and I'm fine. If I get the hankering to want to play Pokemon Stadium, which I probably won't. But it's there if I want it. I don't know. It's just but it's just funny with so many different ways to play and so many people in the camps of each one of them, and it's almost like a weird game of Risk, because you have your flash cart people over here who don't like your emulation people over here, or you have your emulation people over here. But why does it have to be that way?
Well, I mean, even so, like flash cart versus emulation, it is emulation. You're playing it on the console, sure, but it's still emulation. You do not have the physical cartridge other than that flash cartridge. You load the ROMs, which are emulation. And that's like, you're just splitting hairs at that point. I know it feels better playing on the original console. You're preaching to the choir on that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, you've even got it to the point where you've got purists who only play on, CRTs. You've got purists that only play using FrameMeisters and OSSCs and stuff like that. You've got me who does both, because I prefer to have multiple options to play my games.
Sure.
Because my PVM isn't going to last forever, so I want to have a backup to play it on an LCD TV, or I want an easier way to stream things in a higher quality, so I use that when I want to stream. But when I play at home, when I'm not streaming, I just want to play on a CRT like the old days.
Sure.
I mean, time and effort of collecting versus ease of use. Boy, that's the quote of the hour right there, because that's exactly what it is, But again, you've got that camp of people who are like, well, you're not a real retro gamer if you do it this way. You have to do it this way, this way, this way, this way. And I shake my head and I go, why? Why do you even say something ignorant like that?
It's like, do you like Mario Brothers? Yeah, me too. That should be the end of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, do you like games? Yeah, okay then. I mean, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like the whole thing going around social media right now is someone beat that Shadows Die Twice game on easy, and they wrote an article about it. They used a cheat code to beat the game, and they felt okay with that. And everybody was like, if you cheat on a video game, then you're living life wrong, and you're doing this wrong, and you need to do this. And
there's that meme that came out of it. Everyone's like, oh, what? It was hollow victory.
Yeah,
you achieved nothing. And then I've seen that applied to so many different things over the last month, and I'm like, what does it affect you any? Then shut up.
It's like I've said before. It's like I've said on the other podcast. Guess what? I play games on easy. You know why? Because I have 1,400 games I want to play, and I really don't have time to play all of them on the hardest level possible and beat my head in the wall for 12 days. I just don't. I still get the core game the way the developers, wanted it. I get the story, I get everything out of it, and I get the satisfaction of finishing the game and moving on to another game. I don't have
you got to experience it without having to put 40, 50 hours into it to get good.
Yeah. I don't have, on the PlayStation 4, I don't have 12,000 platinum trophies because I beat every game 3 times. Oh my gosh, I'm not a true gamer because of that. It's like, it's like, I don't know. Let's see here, checking the chat real quick. How often do you ask someone, how do you play your games, instead of what games have you been playing? Yeah, I know, right?
Exactly.
It's like, it's exactly right.
I mean, I like popping into people's streams and oh, are you playing this on emulator or console or what capture card do you use? I like talking about that sort of thing, but it's not like I'm like, oh, you're playing on emulation, bye.
No,
I mean,
block,
I don't care.
report.
If it's a game that I like, I'm gonna watch you play it.
Well, yeah, I mean it's fine, and you do speed running, and a lot of speed runners use emulation, and that's fine.
Oh, yeah, or flash carts, I don't care.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. They still set those records regardless of how they do it. They still do it in that game. I don't know. It's so weird. It's so crazy, but maybe
such is life, I guess.
I suppose, but. But this episode was brought to you by Rants. Rants. Everybody likes to get crap off their chest once in a while. And you can only
Rants brand soapboxes.
Yeah. You can only do it in 240 characters on Twitter, and it's not enough sometimes, and people don't understand what you're talking about when you try to do it on Twitter. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll call it there. It's our hour's in, so and breathe. Okay, so what's going on this week other than your premiere tomorrow?
Let me think.
You have Tuesday.
Not too much. Tuesday will be on Tuesday as always. Tonight, actually, in a half an hour, is the first presentation of Season 8 of Elite Tournament, which is the tournament that I speedrun in with my friends. It's gotten decently big. If you want to check that out, you can go to Angry Larry's Twitter. That's Twitch, twitch.tv/Angry Larry. He puts on these shows every week on Friday and Sunday because there's so many people in it now. It needs to split it up. And those are always really fun. Lots of good commentating, lots of good racers. I'm doing both racing and commentating.
Oh, nice.
So
just not at the same time, right?
No. As you can see here, I really screwed up this jump. But that's always a good time. So if that sounds like it's in your wheelhouse of entertainment, then definitely check that out. We have a lot of fun.
Sweet. I know we're going to do usually we do a regular podcast, Gamers Lounge podcast, the first and third. Since I was sick last week, and next week. Next week, Nathaniel can't be here, and Robert has taken a job in Hawaii, and he is moving to Hawaii. So he's going to be gone for the next couple of weeks until his pod shows up 4,000 miles or however far away Hawaii is from here, so he can unpack stuff. So we're going to go ahead and do a show Sunday, as far as I know. Because if we don't, then the only show we're going to do this month is our review show at the end of the month. And we'd like to do a regular gaming show since we haven't done one in about 3 or 4 weeks. So I can rant more about games in the gaming community. So check that out Sunday at 10. Come right back here. If you want to see me rant more about modern games, you can come on back and hear that, because that's probably what it'll end up turning into, is ranting about modern games is usually what we do. Or me and Nathaniel maybe will pick a fight about a game. I don't know. It's funny. But other than that, that's about all we got going on. I'm off all next week, so it's supposed to rain most of the week. So if I get mowing in this weekend, I may actually stream some games next week, which I don't usually get to do much. So
nice.
We'll see how it goes. But like I say, guys, be sure to go to the site, www.the-gamer-lounge.com. Click the show notes when this goes live Saturday at some point, and find the code or the address to the Gleam contest if you're interested in winning those games. I will send it to anywhere in the United States. Canada's too expensive, and I'm not going to ship overseas because they usually end up getting lost. So I hate for somebody to get their hopes up and then lose. So we'll keep it within the 48. But that'll all be in the Gleam thing. So be sure to check that out. So thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out with us. Everybody in the chat. It's always cool to have a chat room to throw comments while we're talking and
absolutely
and fuel that ranty fire. I always like that. So, but thanks a lot, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.